There's a very interesting film that is showing now on Netflix. Debbie and I watched it on Netflix. And it was a film that was here nominated for 9 Oscars. It won 4. Apparently, it's now been nominated for a whole bunch of awards in the German equivalent of the Oscars. It's called the Lola. The film is All Quiet on the Western Front. And it's a film that's based on a novel written by Erich Maria Remarque, a 1929 classic. And you're not typically a kind of war film aficionado. And
I don't like watching them.
You don't like watching them?
They're too emotionally drenching for me.
What did you think? Well, you were really struck by this film.
It was like on a scale of 1 to 10. It was like a 10 in the sense of the emotional
and the realism of it.
And the realism, yes, and just the depravity of it, the senselessness of it, just everything all in one. I mean, it was hard to watch.
World War I was an epical event in the sense that it was really a turning point. The senselessness of that war, let's think about it. All these European powers massacring each other, fighting in trenches for a period of several years, hundreds of thousands, in the end, millions of people being killed. And really, for what? For gaining, 10 yards or 30 yards. And at the end of the war, the boundaries of the countries were about the same as they were at the beginning. And anyway, all of this is shown through the eyes of a single German soldier at the beginning of the film. I thought this was very effective. You see him, he's a university student, but he doesn't want to be at university. Why? Because there's a big war that's breaking out and he wants to be part of it and he wants to show what it means to be a man, and he's excited and he can't wait to fill out the form and sign up, and his friends are intrigued and some of them sign up. And then, of course, the reality could not be further from what his expectation is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really does show the innocence of these boys, 17, 18 years old. And they're so excited because they think that they're doing such a great it's just an act of valor to join the military. And they go in there smiling and singing and I get emotional.
And then from the beginning of it, it's like it's suddenly you look at the guy next to you and he's missing his whole face or his arm has been blown off, and it just takes off from there. The film is very interesting because it doesn't hold anything back. In the older films, a lot of these scenes would not have been shown explicitly. They would have been shown implicitly. But here, it's almost like the German director decided to go for it. And it's a German film, so you're actually seeing things from the German point of view. And of course, the war does not go well for Germany. The Kaiser's army is decimated at the end. I think it was really interesting when there's negotiations about treaties. The guy who's really tough is the French general. He's the one who doesn't want to relent, doesn't even want to offer sort of humane terms of surrender. And of course, the remarkable thing about the film is that it concludes with the signing of a humiliating treaty, which was, of course, the Treaty of Versailles, that set the stage for the Second World War. In other words, you could almost see, remember, young Hitler fought in World War I. And as I was watching this movie, I was thinking of young Hitler, because young Hitler took the lesson from this war that the next time around we have to be really ready. And the next time around, we've got to humiliate them the way that they're humiliating us now. And so you see the way in which these wars, we call them world wars, they were really European civil wars.
And so many millions of boys lost their lives. I mean, I think it was 20 million, I think, overall.
Overall, 20 million, counting civilians.
Right, counting civilians. I mean, it was just horrific. But the film's lead was actually a man named 28-year-old, I believe, Felix Kammerer. And it was his first movie. And he was pretty amazing. He was really good. A really good actor. So the acting, top notch in this movie. It was really well acted, well directed.
It was also the sets were incredible. And what I found is, we know a lot about World War II. Bombing raids, bombing of Dresden, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Pearl Harbor, Battle of Britain, Dunkirk. But World War I, we read about it. It's war fought in the trenches. But what were those trenches like? Well, as it turns out, the trenches were not something like you dig a hole through 3 feet deep. The trenches were 12 and 15 feet deep, and they went on sometimes for miles. And so you slept in the trenches, and your family could send you mail, which was delivered in the trenches. And there was food being cooked in the trenches. So you get a feeling of being there. And remember, this is a war that occurred essentially a century ago. It occurred between, I believe, 1914 and 1919, a 5-year war, about the same duration as the Second World War. But I felt that this movie really took you there. And it took you there to the front, and this was the front between
Yeah.
and
it's a
the French
long
front.
and it's a long movie. It's 2.5 hours long, so you have to have a lot of time to watch it.
You know the weird thing? This movie was nominated for the Oscar. It is 100 times better than the idiotic movie that won the Oscar.
First of all, we haven't seen that one.
No, but I know
we're not
about
going
it,
to.
and it's such pure
We don't
rubbish
even
that
want
we
to.
can't even live through it.
I'm surprised this movie did not win the Oscar.
Well,
I think
it's because the other movie is more politically correct. This is a movie that doesn't take a political stance. It's just about the sheer horror of war.